Hello, everyone. My name is Arcian, and I am the Angel of Objectivism. You are now listening to the sexiest political podcast there is. Ladies, you're welcome. And Rage After Storm, you're especially welcome.
We're off to a great start.
What?
We're off to a great
start. Off to a great start.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't part of my normal microwave extravaganza podcast. This is just when we decided, me and Druid spurred out trying to figure out how to set up, and we just decided to start off randomly because we were talking about James Alsop. Yeah,
we were having some spicy conversation, and then Arsene was like, "You want to take this live?" And I'm like, "You know what? Yeah, sure."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because like a conversation like this is like legendary. We cannot have this just gone and not recorded.
Oh, fuck no. I mean, listen to the miracle that we're giving these people. I mean, this conversation at all will cure cancer in 5 days, guaranteed. You do not need to pay for it. You're welcome. You only need to worship at our feet. You're welcome. Exactly.
And that's just part of the initiation.
Exactly. Yeah. Then it's about $200 a month, but don't worry. We Scientologists. I mean, whoops. That's not what I meant to say.
No, we mean scientists.
Yes, very much so.
God,
I can hear it. Go ahead.
This stream's about identitarianism, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I can already hear the Jewish lawyer saying, "Excuse me, what did you say about Scientology?"
I'm sure even they would be like, Scientology is like messed up though.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Hey, dude, we got to sue you because it's our job, but yeah, this is pretty fucked up."
Yeah,
just in the court case, they're like, "Hey, buddy, sorry we had to sue you. It's just kind of how we make money."
Right.
Okay, so we were talking about James Alsop and his friend. I'm guessing it's Nick Fuentes. I don't know. All I know
is it was like Alex something.
I don't know. He was on Rebel. Sorry, not. Sorry, do you have something to say?
Go on. I don't know the name. Just go on.
He wasn't on. He was not on. I believe non-Rebel. Sorry, no. I meant to say Red Ice. Bit of a different different station with a bit of a different bent. So one thing I thought we talked about is race realism, because that's all the rage. All the kids are doing it. So I thought we'd get involved,
Yeah.
Be active in your community. Right not, guys? Hey, have you heard the new good news about the alt-right? I mean, identitarians? Whoops.
Yeah, we were talking about like these two speakers or whatever for identitarians, and like this is going to be a great debate stream for sure, because already I'm not convinced. And I guess Arcian's going to be like the guy who tries to change Steven Crowder's mind, except I'm Steven Crowder, and I really don't want to be compared to Steven Crowder, but that's kind of the purpose of the whole thing. So
Steven Crowder's an interesting case in that, like, just like Ben Shapiro, there are some parts where I'm kind of like, okay, dude, let up, but overall, I think people give him a bad rap, even other conservatives like James Alsop, or even same thing with Ben Shapiro, because they're flawed human beings, and there's things that they're going to naturally disagree on. But I mean, when it comes to a lot of like things like whether abortion is moral or not, or whether we should have socialism, there's a lot of core beliefs that they agree on,
Right.
But of course, like Ben Shapiro wants to chew out everyone who is even close to the alt-right or even identitarianism, because breaking the conditioning. So yeah. I'm just kind of the guy in the middle saying, can I just watch?
Yeah. And I'm the guy even like further away from the middle, like I'm completely outside. Like you guys are just all fucked up. I don't like I respect Ben Shapiro because he has a good mind for economics. Yeah. But goddamn, he still falls to the trope of saying leftists are ruining this country, and like this is because the left is so bad. And it's like, yes, I know the left is bad. Quit rubbing it in. The same thing with Steven Crowder. It's like, except Steven Crowder is more on like the social end of things, And he kind of has his little hug box of people with him on his Steven Crowder show or talk show or whatever you call it.
Gavin Southern, all those people. And, you know, those are all people I admire as well. The thing is, I think you got to be willing to admit you don't have to agree with everything that everyone says all the time. You know,
that's definitely right.
Well, I mean, the thing is, what it gets me annoyed is, you know, I don't mind a little bit of infighting because, you know, I think that's, you know, quality control. I think you got to have it where every once in a while you say, well, sorry, bitch, but you're wrong.
You improved the movement.
I'm not singling out anyone of any particular gender, but I'm just, you know, I'd say bitch to a girl and to a guy. But I mean, my point is that, you know, it almost becomes like, you know, this person has nothing good to say. Like, okay, I do get annoyed when like Ben Shapiro just does nothing but hound on y'all, right, nonstop. Like, these guys are nothing but Nazis. Like, listen, gang, I'm telling you right now, these guys are completely bad. They love Trump. Well, like, and how much coke did you take today?
Infighting's great and all because I get to see like both sides collapse in on each other. Because for too long, it's just been left and right going at it with no progress at all. Now we're seeing some infighting, and it's getting like really impressive because I know at the end of it, both sides are going to improve somewhat. Yeah. But at the same time, from that infighting, you have the Young Turks.
Oh God!
You have InfoWars. You have Richard Spencer, you have the alt-right, you have the freaking Antifa, you have everybody just going to full extremes. It's like, no, this is not what we wanted.
Well, and not only that,
conversation. We didn't want a car burning.
Yeah, we just wanted to burn the old tires we don't want to use. We didn't say set the entire car on fire.
Save the Prius.
No, we're conservatives. We got a nice big pickup truck because we're Americans. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little quality control, but I mean, I think James Alsop and Ben Shapiro could at least come together and say, yeah, you know, what about, you know, social issues like not the idea of not breaking up the nuclear family, the idea of traditionalism. I mean, why can't they just go ahead and say, okay, I agree with Ben on this, but here's what I disagree on. Like, I'm saying, can we not have it be like, you know, either you're with me or you're against me? Like, no, maybe we just won't have a drink together. But I mean, can we admit when our opposition, whether it be from the left versus the right, or be the right on the right, say, okay, he's right on this, but he's wrong on this. Like, can we at least have a little more nuance, right?
Yeah, like that's I like to harp on some centrists as well, because like I used to be a centrist, but then I saw how like ineffective that movement was.
They were all pretty flaccid, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they're all like we need to talk, we need to have discussion, and it's like you're not gonna get discussion between two opposite sides. They're opposing for a reason.
Yeah.
But that one thing, it's like, can we agree on this? Can we agree on the other? I kind of agree with that. Because, yes, that does get things moving along. It's like, yeah, we can put this one difference aside to tackle this other difference. Like, where we disagree on social norms and traditions and stuff like that, we could agree on economics and stuff like that and progress there, you know? And leave social issues for someone else to debate. But the problem, that there's a simultaneous problem with that, is that centrists love to use that as their calling card. Like, centrism is always about, we need to get both sides to cooperate. And some centrists are like, screw both sides, we're doing this on our own.
Yeah.
And that's why you have, like, independent candidates and whatnot that centrists all rally around. It's like, are you aware of the Centrist Project at all? Like that?
No. I'm sorry. I have a life.
Yeah. Well, I used to follow this Facebook group. It's actually more than just a Facebook group. It's called the Centrist Project.
Do you mind if I just being clear, that was a joke.
Right.
Calm your damn titties, internet, okay? I don't have a personal problem with the centrist. I'm just if you heard the beginning of the stream, you should know you shouldn't take everything completely seriously here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the guy who has a problem with centrists, not him. Yeah, the Centrist Project, they're basically revolved around promoting independent candidates and like getting independent candidates into office or whatever. And they regularly report whenever stuff like this happens in the US. It's like, yeah, there's an independent guy or there's a centrist guy willing to work with both sides in this governor office or in this mayor office. And while I do still kind of agree with their aim, there's a reason why independents don't win presidency. There's a reason why independents don't win like senator positions or like Supreme Court. Well, not Supreme Court. I fib. I'm dumb. But you know, like higher up positions in government. And that's because our country is based on left and right. And the fracture, like the infighting between left and right, that's not going to produce centrists. That's producing far left and far right because nobody can agree. So they're like, you know what? We'll take this further. And it's like, God, everything's imploding on itself right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm outside the system because everything went so wrong, and now we have people like Richard Spencer who actually have like audiences.
Yeah. Well, Richard Spencer, I don't think I disagree with everything he says. You see, the thing is that's what I get so sick of is this us versus them mentality. Like, if you're not with me, you're against me. Well, can I just say maybe I don't worship you as the almighty Allah of right-wingism? Like, do I not have to, like, what if I don't pray to you, like, this one time when you make a point I genuinely disagree on, if I don't get on my knees and roll out a tarmac or a carpet and go, like, Allah Ben Shapiro, Allah Richard Spencer, Allah Lauren Southern, like, actually, I don't even want to throw Lauren into this because she usually doesn't rip on people for that. But there's so many people outside of her and even Steven Crowder who I think I at least like him because he doesn't try to assume motive. He lets people have whatever motives they'll have. Like, at least, but I mean, come on. Can I just say maybe we just are not the same person?
Yeah.
We're going to disagree. Can we have a debate with words, not with machine guns? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, people like Steven Crowder and Richard Spencer, like, okay, so I'm gonna like harp on some like Trump supporters in general. Like, I'm not saying they're Trump supporters. They probably are. They probably aren't. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like you can agree with many supporters on key issues like immigration, gun control, etc.
Yeah.
Say one thing about how you are pro-choice hypothetically, and they'll call you a lib cuck, and it's like destroying to your perception of them. Because originally, because you agreed with them on so many topics, you're like, okay, these people are like-minded, they're all right, like I can agree with them on these issues. And then they get so hostile towards you when you disagree on one issue that it's like, why did I even identify with these people to begin with?
Like, look, you could say, okay, you can go ahead and help us out with this, but on this disagreement, we'll go our separate ways, right? Like, like, here's the thing. I'm still planning on going to Poland, and actually now I'm talking to people in like, my local area, as well as also posting on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. People who want to join a movement of my own called the Legionnaires. The idea behind this is because there are certain things that are not within the goal of generation identity in Europe. And the thing is, because that's not in their goals, I thought it would not be fair to try to transform the group. I thought it would be much better to go my own way, but also volunteer for their group, for a common interest. Yeah. And, allow them the flexibility to know that if they don't want to get involved in what we do, that's fine. Like the Salvation Army and the Red Cross, they're different groups, but they do a lot of the same things. They don't have to agree on everything, and if they want to disagree, they can, but they'll come together in a civilized way. Like it's like you don't have to be a part of this group. I don't care if you want to be in Gen Identity. That's fine. Right. I support what they do. You can be in both groups and maybe not do everything. We don't have to be clones, right?
Mm-hmm. Like that, like, getting back to identitarianism, I did my own little like research for a little while into that movement, and God, like, I find it. Sorry for voice crack. I find it weird how like there's all these different names for all these different movements, and everybody calls them alt-right. That's not to say that everybody else is simply trying to discredit them because they have different viewpoints. A lot of the stuff that I found about identitarianism leans toward the alt-right. And yet, people argue with themselves. It's like, no, I'm not identitarian. I'm American nationalist. It's like, aren't most of your beliefs kind of the same thing? Why wouldn't you want to align with that? Like, why is alt-right such a bad word? I mean, it's only a bad word for like the left wing to use now. Alt-right is at its core definition the right wing for people who just want to do things differently. It's the alternative right.
Which is why I identify as alt-light. But also,
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why I identify as alt-light isn't, rather than alt-right, I identify as alt-light. But I also would like to say, I guess part of the problem is that people, you know what? I think it's true. I think race really does exist, and I think that, it's okay to say that, it's what's so wrong with saying it's okay to be white? I'm not white, mm-hmm. And if like Rennie Pettibone or Martin Sellner say, "Why can't we be white?" My response would be, "You should be allowed to be proud of your European heritage." I mean, I'm Latino, at least from what I know. I never met my real parents, but I was born in Colombia, so
right.
I can probably put my money on black and be pretty okay. So with that being said, I probably do have some European blood in me, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I do think it's okay to identify with your own group. But how do you really define what your identity is beyond that? Because I think there is more. I think that, there's your core self, and then there are other layers you add on. You can't escape, identifying with your own racial group, and that's fine. You shouldn't have to, and I don't think that the identitarians are supremacists. I get so annoyed when the news says like, all the alt-right are all white supremacists. No, fuck off. We know that's not true.
No.
But also, I also would like to say, how much emphasis do we really need to put on race? I'm not saying make it irrelevant. I'm not saying make it. I'm sorry to continue. I'll up. Okay, yeah. So I'm not saying ignore it. I hate when people say you shouldn't be able to allow to do it. No, what's wrong with saying, oh, I'm a white girl, I enjoy European culture. Oh, I'm a black girl, or I'm a black guy, or I'm an Asian guy. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's okay to harken back to your old culture, but I think you should still think of yourself as, if I live in Europe, if I live in Britain, I'm British first. Even if I'm immigrated to Britain, my nationality is now British. I support Britain before anything I had in the past. Why can't it be your nationality? Like as in where you live right now, the country you live and you're a citizen of now, and then your culture, and then your race, and then your political identity. I think what's up?
Well, that's where I differ, because like going back to the core issue, like race, nationality, or whatever, to be proud of your race is kind of pointless, to be honest. Like, you can be proud of your heritage. So, like, say I come from a Cherokee tribe or whatever. It's like, yeah, okay, you come from a tribe, and I'm glad you embrace that. But to say I'm proud of being white, it's like, what exactly are you proud of? Simply being white? Why are you proud of being white? Like, why am I proud to be white, or why am I proud to be Mexican, or whatever descent that people claim to be proud of? Like, what is there to take pride in? Like the color of your skin?
I'd be more proud of being Colombian, as in like the culture,
the culture, the nationality, like that.
Yeah, not melanin. Personally, I don't think melanin's that important, because I think you can be whatever you want. I think that maybe your immediate family should be fine. I think that's fine. Mm-hmm. Personally, I don't think I don't think you're saying there's anything wrong with being proud of it. I think what you're trying to say is there's no need. Like, it should not be forced on you.
Yeah, like the race part of that, there should be no need. Like, basically, identitarianism is nationalism with race included, from my perspective, anyways, from my research on them.
Well, from my perspective, I'd have to say it's more like nationality mixed with cultural heritage, ancestry. I think it's more of ancestry than anything else, which is not bad. Like I said, if you want to be proud of that, I don't think you should be shamed. I don't think that's wrong. I just don't think. I think that when you get it to the point where he's Asian and not he's Korean. No, now he's Asian. I think that's stretching it quite a bit. I think that's pushing it.
Well, like. If you just call somebody like Korean or whatever without even knowing their nationality, which is a totally different issue aside, because they could be like Vietnamese or Chinese or whatever.
Yeah.
You just call them Asian because that's their race, and you wouldn't be wrong. Yeah. Whereas I think that was where like the slang Chinaman came in, like around like the 1800s or whatever, because like anybody who was Asian was called a Chinaman because there were a bunch of Chinese immigrants to the U.S. or whatever. So people naturally were like, okay, we got to start calling them by their race instead of their nationality because we don't necessarily know their nationality. It's kind of a whole rabbit hole of like, oh, they all look alike and blah blah blah.
Well, I thought it was Oriental, but regardless,
yeah, Oriental, Chinaman, whatever you want to call them.
And when it comes, and here's the thing, I think that sexual preference is a completely different topic because, like who you like, dude. I'm never gonna. It's such a biological, instinctual, like primal thing who you're sexually attracted to. Like I'm not attracted to too many black girls, and Latinos are okay. Latino women, but that's probably because a lot of them come from the third world, so a lot of them have fucked up teeth and shit. But I definitely my preference is definitely Asian and Caucasian women, and if they don't like Latino men, like they don't like the way they look, I will never be offended by that because that's sexual preference. That's literally who you want to share biological genes in your offspring with. That's not the same as saying, and I don't think identitarians hate anyone. I really don't. I don't think it's a hate group. I just think
like, from the clip you showed me, identitarians, or at least the two that were talking on stage, they care more about like so-called reclaiming their national identity or reclaiming their heritage or just like making pride a thing again in those things.
Yeah. And that's not, and the thing is, it's not about saying you should not be proud to be white. It's more like, well, how far are you going to take that? As in, because at some point, it's not like I will ever tell you, oh, you're a bad person for it. It's more like, does it make sense? Isn't it being a little? Isn't it kind of starting to be a little bit of LARPing?
I do agree with the statement. It's okay to be white because it is okay to be white. I don't know why the left wing loves to portray that as like a racist statement. I don't know what makes it a racist statement. It's okay to be white. Okay, fine. It's okay to be a race.
Well, don't you know, Drew? Don't you know they done took our lands because we was Kangs back in the day?
Well, yeah, I have a few friends who harp on and on and on about the Kangs thing. Like they were all over Black Panther when it released. Like those types of people.
Yeah,
I don't agree with those types of people because like
they're interesting. They're interesting.
Yeah, they're really interesting. It's like they bring up all this scientific evidence or what some people would call scientific racism about how like black people are inferior to white people and how white people brought like civilization to everybody. It's like whatever.
Calm your tits.
Huh? Yeah, just calm your tits. But I do believe that it's okay to be white or it's okay to be black. It's okay to be anything. I do believe race is kind of a thing because we've treated race like a thing for many centuries now, and you can tell biologically in at least facial structure that race does play a part in biology. Because apart from the melanin, there's also like bone structure changes or whatever that make humans adapt to their climate. And there's like different genes or whatever that have come as a result from them adapting to whatever climate they've been in or whatever situations they've been in over the years.
Yeah,
I believe race is a thing when it comes to biology. It's not just simply melanin, because otherwise you would have Jackie Chan looking exactly like Kevin Hart.
Exactly. Well, and also, would you agree with this that regardless of what your race is, if you were born in the United States legally, and like second generation, third generation, whatever, you're law-abiding citizen and you're a patriot, yes, I think we can all agree, no matter what, you should come before any immigrants. Any country should say that its countrymen, the people in that nation, should absolutely come first, regardless of what their race is. And good.
It depends on the context. And you might be surprised to hear that from me, but it depends on the context because in terms of voting, in terms of food stamp eligibility, in terms of like social programs, stuff like that, yes, I do believe that citizens should come first before illegal immigrants or new immigrants. Well, actually, scratch new immigrants because then that would imply that even though they are legal immigrants, they're like new to the country and they don't get that. I do believe that citizens should take priority over illegal immigrants because yes, they came here illegally. But in terms of just simply preferring immigrants over everybody else, There are programs designed to help immigrants, though.
No,
there
no,
are
I said the people who were born in the nation should come first.
Oh, simply born in the nation opposed to immigrating?
Well, no, I'm saying no. Second generation means your parents came here. Third
Oh,
generation. See, every generation after first means you were born here and your ancestors
right.
came. So no, what I was saying is you should take preference of people who are in the nation first and who grew up in the nation, who abide its laws.
If you're a first generation immigrant and you pass all the qualifications, you should be able to like stay in the nation and like you should be able to become a citizen.
Oh
So,
yeah,
you might have a different culture than somebody, and you might have a different language than somebody, but the tests for citizenship cover that. You kind of have to have a basic grasp on English in order to be a citizen of the U.S., for example, if you're crossing over from the Mexican border, you know?
See,
Yeah. And like there are some people who like prefer to use like Spanish as their first language. Like, you know, I've had friends who spoke fluent English in school and their parents spoke like Spanish or whatever, and they kind of had to be the interpreter, you know?
yeah.
The parents might have spoken fine English, or they might have spoken English at like the very basic level, and then they couldn't say like the basic words or whatever, but they passed the test to get in.
Yeah. Well, no, my point was this. You know,
Yeah, preferring like people who are born in the country over immigrants who came in over the generations, right?
yeah, and not just that, but also like let's say, you know, I did come to the US completely legally, and I think that's the right way to do it. I think that my point was, let's say all of a sudden America had a huge problem with the population as it was that was keeping immigrants out. My belief would be that, if you were allowed in by that country, you shouldn't be immediately kicked out unless a complete like national emergency where they need to push people out, and where a lot of other people who were born in the nation are already trying to get out. But with that being said, and that would mean like, that I would just have to wait. If I wanted to immigrate to the US, that I'd have to wait. Do you think that's okay so long as like once they open up immigration, if I don't commit a crime, and there's not some emergency, I should be allowed to stay here?
If you're a law-abiding citizen, once you come to the US, then you should be allowed to stay here, yes.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, here's the thing. I don't want to just rip on people, like Ben or anyone in the identitarian movement on the right, libertarians, centrists, anarcho-capitalists, anarcho-communists. I don't really want to rip on anyone personally. My point is, in fact, if anything, this kind of thing is more about talking about how I wish people would make it less personal. And I can understand James Alsop had a reason to call Ben, because Ben Shapiro, literally, when he was talking about a shooter, he pretended not to know the shooter's name, and specifically, you can tell it was intentional. Specifically inserted James Alsop's name in the place of a certain mass shooter when he was reporting the news one day. So I can absolutely understand, Ben absolutely started the fight, okay? And you know what, Ben, if you want to come after me for that, fine. Don't deny what you did, okay? Personally, I'm not going to try to say that you're wrong about everything, and I absolutely believe there's a scope for forgiveness. But if you did something, we can call you out on it, okay? If you chose consciously to do something, we can call you out on it. That's just how it works. Like if someone says, oh, I murdered someone 50 years ago, and ever since I've been a saint, sure, I can forgive you if like literally you've done it for the next 60 years. Let's say you live to be 160 or something like that. And for the next 60 years, like maybe you committed the murder when you're in your 20s, you do nothing but try to be a great person and teach people not to be bad people. Fine, I can forgive you. That doesn't mean when you commit the murder, I can't say that you didn't do it, right? It happened. Right?
Because you got to be accountable for your actions, like no matter how long after you did it.
Yeah, we can forgive you, but that doesn't mean we won't, say it happened. It's not like, oh, no, didn't happen.
That is also a double-edged sword, though, because there are some people who are like either falsely accused of rape or like falsely accused of something, or they go to jail for a menial thing and it becomes wide news. And they try to be like a upstanding citizen again, but they just can't make it because everybody knows them as the rapist or the robber or whatever they were accused of or whatever they were acquitted of.
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. You know, I don't like it when people are wrongly accused. That's not okay with me. That's not okay. You are ruining someone's reputation under false premises. I think that is disgusting. But with that being said, Ben broadcasted that.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to deny that. He did it himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back onto identitarianism, like the other thing that I also deduced from my research is that identitarianism and nativism are kind of like two sides of the same coin. Would you agree?
They're very, very similar. I don't.
Because nativism at its base definition and not based off of like a left wing.
Druid, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you mind if I just say one quick thing before people, you know, get all confused as to what my position on it is? And by the way, I got to go in about 15 minutes, but that's fine. Well, yeah. So when it comes to my whole position on this, I mostly support the idea of people identifying with their culture, definitely with their culture and their ancestry. That's perfectly fine with me. When it comes to this, when it comes to the deep, deep nuances of all this, I'm a 22-year-old man. I will happily say that I don't know everything. I'm more than willing to give my opinion on what I do know about, and I'm willing to listen to new ideas. So if someone hears this and they say, I'd like to debate you, please contact me. Let me know. I will say this. I'm completely open to change. I think at the end of the day, some of these nuances may, you know, just go over my head. So just want to be clear, you know, nothing's definite. Oh, fucking phone. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, actually, I wanted to kind of change my subject after you brought up this one thing of taking pride in your culture, in your like heritage or whatever. Anyways, the thing is, it's all right to take pride in your heritage. It's all right to take pride in your background, your family, whatever it is. Why do you have to make it a movement? Like, what part of you makes it feel so threatened to be proud of your heritage? Like, why would that be a movement?
Well, if I may answer that question, I think I know why. It is because, as you've seen more and more, there is not only a lot of emotional shaming of being white, which I think is disgusting. I think you should be allowed to, you know, be proud of that. But also because there are now becoming laws and policies now hurting these people. In fact, to the point where, you know, that's part of the reason why there's this huge Muslim incursion into Europe. You know, so I do kind of understand it. I mean, I even talked with Ayla about this, who I follow on Instagram. Ayla and me follow. Ayla, Wife with a Purpose, we follow each other on Instagram. So just so you know, there's no actual angry animosity, you guys, okay? So this is just an ideological difference. I just want people to know that. What it is, it's more like, you know, she's not against this idea that, you know, that like black people should be proud of their own groups. She's more like saying, if she goes to the store and she has like, I think like 8 kids, I don't know, I don't quite remember, but as a white woman, as she goes there, now everyone looks at her weird, like, you know, they see the big Latino girl with like, you know, who's fat and short. And by the way, I'm Latino, I can say this shit, so fuck you if you think I'm racist. She was like 12 fucking kids, you know, down at Costco, you know, screaming and crying, and everyone's like, "Oh, what a proud feminist!" But Ayla walks down and only, you know, she's pretty albino. Well, she's not actually albino, but that was more of a joke. Just she's white. She's white.
White relative to everybody else in the crowd.
even amongst white people, she's pretty, you know, pale, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. All of a sudden, everyone's going like, "Excuse me, what the hell is wrong with her? Is she like some kind of born again Christian? Seriously, look at her. She's gonna like ruin and my freaking dishwasher." I'm just like, I'm thinking of like some kind of like 30s dried up like feminist businesswoman.
The double standard or whatever.
Yeah, who's just staring at her like, and it's almost always other white women, and sometimes even black women, just like, "Excuse me, the hell you got all them damn kids for?"
I mean, like, I have a Mormon neighbor, so it's like normal for me to see like 10,000 kids in a neighborhood.
And at some point, can't you just say? I mean, at some point, can't you just say? Can we just say to all those people who are so shaming, like, go fuck yourself?
Yeah. Well, like, I think the double standard exists because A, they're idiots, and also B, because people have this mindset that like similar to identitarianism, like Latinos and Black people need to reclaim their history or whatever. I mean, and really, identitarianism is just the white version of the SJW thing going around, you know? Like, well, I mean, to a different extent, because like there are Black people who would be like, yeah, we were kings or whatever. They would go back to their history or whatever and pull up all these things that prove that they were civilization before white people came along and forced civilization onto them. Yeah. But it's kind of the same thing because like people like to spread, well, the left likes to spread like Latino empowerment and like Black empowerment and all these empowerment things. Like Vice News would do it all the time, that type of stuff. Identitarianism is kind of the same thing, except it's getting hate because not only is it white, which is not a valid reason to hate it, but it's also got like its speakers have ties to so-called alt-right. And some of their beliefs are really concerning, though, when it comes to the identitarian movement. Like, I'm not saying that well,
you can't control. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you can't control everyone. But go ahead. I want to hear this.
Right. Well, I'm not saying the left is like completely spotless, squeaky clean when it comes to like promoting like different cultures and race themselves, because they have been known to just decry anybody because of their race as well, except on the white end of things. But identitarianism is kind of the same deal. It's two sides of the same coin. Back to my original question, though, it's fine to be proud of this thing, but why can't somebody just be proud of it and move on? Like, why does it need to be a whole movement? I get that people think that their culture is being threatened by like immigration or SJW practices or whatever. But is it really being threatened to a point where you have to make a movement just to say it's okay to be white and we're gonna be white or German or Irish or whatever our culture is?
Well, yeah, to a certain degree, I do get what you're saying. And here's the thing. Everything is good in moderation. Everything is good in moderation. This is why I always get so annoyed at ANCAPs who say that minarchists are nothing more than statists. They love the state. They must desire the state. They must enjoy that delicious state. Oh, get in my mouth, baby. Get me some of that government policy. Oh, yeah, my face.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops, I think I went a little far with that.
Same with like conservatives or whatever. Like, I call myself an anarchist, but I don't believe that people can get by just fine without government, because I believe that as part of human nature, government will form. Yeah. I'm an anarchist in that when a government is really ineffective, there needs to be like a rapid change to make sure it's effective again.
So you're like a transferent anarchist.
I'm kind of like an anarchist when it's, for lack of a better term, convenient to be an anarchist. But like, anarchism to me is just like, it's more than just a lack of government. It's more of a way of saying we need to get whatever government is ineffective to be effective through any means possible. Yeah. And ANCAP is a utopia for me. It's unachievable. That's why I call it a utopia. But it's a utopia nonetheless, that people can make it without government and still do like capitalistic ideals, you know, like run shops, sell goods, whatever the case.
Yeah, and more practically, obviously, since communism just doesn't work, the people always are selfish, so they all have private property.
And that's why governments will always form, because those people will form together into tribes or clans or governments or whatever it is to defend their private property.
Yeah, in-group preference is not something I think is a bad thing. Although I always say it should be voluntary, and nobody should force you.
Nobody should force into like a government.
Yeah, or even into a group preference. Like, for instance, I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus, and I'm also a Freemason. So I'm part of the two largest fraternities in the entire world. I do it completely voluntary, and if I wanted to leave, I could do that today. And in fact, if anything, they qualify you and say, why should we allow you to be in our group? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And nobody wants, and here's the thing. I personally think that one big solution that could definitely help with illegal immigration when it comes to in-group preferences is that if we got rid of the welfare state, I'm pretty sure the people who want to make a better life for themselves in an honest manner would still come over. And everyone else would be like, hey, can I get some free health care, please, senor? Well, I suck your cock for $200. No, they say I'd suck it for 5 pesos. I'm sure they wouldn't come here if they realize, oh, you have to work. Like the bad ones, not the good ones, like me.
All right.
I'm the good ones. I am the good Chicano. Oh my god. But I have to say this. Look, if someone really has a problem with what I said, let me know, because I'm not gonna genuflect and bend my knee to you, because I don't think you should do that for me. I don't think I should do that for you, and I don't think that most people want that. What I will say is, I will happily talk to you about why we disagree. Okay, because at the end of the day, I look up to people like Lauren Southern. I look up to people like Brittany Pettibone, Martin Sellner, even Richard Spencer and James Alsop, and like Ayla, I think, and like Paul Joseph Watson, Stefan Molyneux. I even think that Jason or whatever, however the fuck you pronounce that communist name, who was a anarcho-communist. I think because he showed that he can be reasonable and calm and measured. I look up to these people. They're young. They're out there. They're doing shit. Dave Rubin, left wing. Joe Rogan, clearly left wing. Yeah, I mean, although he did at one point say, "I stand within the flip-floppity position of the motherfucking middle, you commie." It was hilarious.
I find it hard to believe that Joe Rogan's left wing, but okay.
Well, socially, I think he's more libertarian, like fiscally right wing. Especially when it comes to guns, but
right.
Left wing when it comes to policy. Like, he's definitely a pot smoking hippie when you get down to it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people, and here's the thing. With all that being said, not one of them. I'm Catholic, by the way, so in case anyone's wondering why I was making that Islam reference, I don't go to one single one and say, "I must worship at the feet of Crowder." Allah, Allah.
Yeah, he's going the Poland to Deus Volt, his way to victory.
Yes, I think at some point, go outside, take a bike ride. Look, and I'm pretty sure most of these people do. So I'm not saying they're like losers that just stay in their basement and talk about philosophy. Hello here, Stefan Molyneux. Let's talk about philosophy because I don't have a life outside of here. No, I'm not saying that at all. Hell, I think the same thing needs to happen with college kids, because I'm so sick of this idea that millennials are ruining the world. Well, here's the thing. Think about this. When it comes to why these people are communists, it's not because they're a bunch of loser millennial pot-smoking hippies. Think about this. They grew up in an economy that the baby boomers fucked over for us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they were told their whole lives to listen and obey to their far left wing. And I mean, like, I'm not talking like, like Druid or like even Dave Rubin. I'm talking like straight up commie. And this happened to me too. I was socially, as a crypto Marxist, economically, I was still a conservative growing up. And even that made me the right wing guy in high school. They were told to listen and believe their whole life, and then all of a sudden they're told in in their senior year of high school, oh, by the way, you need to make the most expensive and most important decision of your life. Go. You know what I mean? Yeah. College. And they're told, by the way, anyone who does not go to college is a loser. You are a loser.
And they wonder why Gen Z or my generation and younger are like they share these like memes or whatever, or they make jokes that are like self-deprecating, ironic, just like self-destructive. They wonder why this generation is so cynical. It's because of everybody else before us.
Yeah. Well, not only that, you see, can I finish? Can I finish?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is they grow up in just being told to listen and believe, and then they have to make decisions that they have never had the experience to think about before. When I got out of high school, I went straight to college. I took one semester. And I'm like, fuck this. It's ridiculously expensive. I don't know if I'm going to stay in this. I don't know if this is going to be a long-term career. They haven't experienced the real world. The college movies, the party. Yo, what's up? Those are for the rich kids. And there's one or two parties that you can go to if you go to a 4-year university. And then the rest of the week is losing your goddamn mind, sitting in a tiny little dorm room, eating shit. Let's be honest. And most of the time they don't even finish their degrees. Or if they do, they don't even go into those fields. And people are just retarded when it comes to what they think college is like. I mean, 90% of it, if you're living on campus, is hard as shit. And by the way, when they are done with all this horse shit, guess what? They have spent the equivalent of what could buy them a mansion, and they don't have the money to pay for it. They'll never be able to afford a house. And so then think about it. They're being told, by the way, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, even though nobody is hiring. And by the way, for all the baby boomers and people in their 50s who tell me, no, people are hiring, fuck you. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. I've been in the job market. All you people have had your degrees for a long time. You're an instant shoo-in. Well, I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
I've applied to several entry-level jobs because I had no job before it, and they would not, they didn't get back to me. I am convinced that college is absolutely necessary to get the basic jobs when college should be for like advanced jobs.
Oh my God, absolutely. And trade jobs too. There's so many good trade jobs. If you go to a 2-year, you're an idiot. If you don't go to a 4-year, you're a fucking idiot. And they go to these 4 years out of shame, and they lose all this money. You know what I mean? They're broke as shit. They will never be able to get a good job until way later in their life. Okay, and their nuclear family has been completely broken down. At that point, why wouldn't you say, you know what? My professor kept telling me about this really interesting book. It was written by this big guy who looks like Santa Claus. He's got this big beard. His name is Carl. I like the name Carl. And it tells me about this great system where we just say, fuck it. Burn it all down. Let's start over and make this utopia, of which I am not able to realize is not possible because I have lived in a dorm my whole life. At this point, I'm convinced that these kids should put on Joker makeup and burn down a hospital in the name of the proletariat. Because what else would you do? You have no job opportunities. You have no way of owning a house. You'll be in debt forever, and the economy sucks dick. And yet we wonder why these kids are turning communists? I mean, they shouldn't. I lived in the real world, and I realized that shit doesn't work. But is it any real wonder why this is happening? Sorry about that. I ranted. I know. I'm sorry. I had to get that out of my system. Go ahead. What's up, man? Oh, Druid, I can't hear you. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Druid, you there? I can't hear anything you're saying. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. That's not good. Type something if you can hear me. Type something. I'll try to see it in the chat. Druid, you there? Buddy? Oh, shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I seem to lost touch with Druid. I can't hear a thing he's saying. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this program. This is not the normally scheduled program, but we just decided to go live today. And honestly, like I said, guys, I really do support this idea that you should be proud of who you are and where you're coming from. But I truly believe at the end of the day, looks like Druid, it looks like Druid laughs. Whoops. I really do believe that at the end of the day, your country, the nation that you have immigrated to or that you were born in, its laws, its policies, its culture should be what you identify as first, but then your heritage should be therefore. Otherwise, why would you even live in that country if you identified more with your old nation, right? But with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. My name is Arcean, and I am the Angel of Objectivism. And yes, guys, if you want to know my real name, it's already out there. I've been on the Warski show, although I did a shitty job. I'm going to be back on there, hopefully debating either Roosh V, James Alsop, or Vegan Gains. Depends on if it's possible. I'll keep you updated, okay? So my real name is Jeremy. You can follow me at real_Jeremy_SOMERS. I'll be the